Vitaly's wild ride almost came to a deadly stop inside a Philippine prison where he's been locked down for months. Despite desperate pleas from both him and his family, begging the US and Russian governments for bail, the answer was ice cold every single time. No exceptions, no favors. Insiders in the Philippines paint a haunting picture of the man who once ruled YouTube with outrageous stunts. The prank king looks nothing like his old self. Thin, hollow-eyed, and broken down to the core. For the first time in his life, he isn't facing fake danger for laughs on camera. He's staring down the very real terror of a brutal prison system and consequences that can't be edited out. The smirk that once made him millions is gone, replaced with a shadow of fear he can't laugh away. So, is this the tragic final chapter for Vitaly, or the beginning of a long nightmare where the once unstoppable internet star pays the price for living recklessly? The world's waiting for the verdict, but one thing's certain: the fall from fame to rock bottom doesn't get much darker than this. Flashback to his glory days, when prank culture dominated YouTube, Vitaly Zdorovetski was untouchable. He pulled in hundreds of millions of views, stacked up fortunes, and built an empire off shock value. But then the prank craze started eating itself alive. Audiences moved on, attention spans shifted, and Vitaly's tricks weren't landing the same way anymore. Vitaly didn't just fall off. He burned his own career to ashes with one reckless move after another. Fans who once cheered him on grew disgusted as his so-called pranks crossed into dangerous territory. What started as goofy stunts turned into full-blown chaos. Accusations of trespassing, harassment, staging fake zombie attacks in the streets, and even crashing global sporting events by storming stadiums like it was his personal stage. But the moment that really shattered whatever was left of his reputation, that infamous night on Miami Beach. Out of nowhere, with zero history or beef, Vitaly ran up on a random woman jogging and straight up attacked her, striking her in the face and chest. She was left not just bruised, but emotionally scarred from the assault. The world couldn't believe it, and the outrage was instant. Within hours, the internet erupted. Thousands of furious voices condemned him, calling him a danger hiding behind the mask of a prankster. Police were forced to step in again and again, dragging Vitaly away from the scenes of his self-made disasters. And yet, instead of shame, he treated every arrest like a prize. In his mind, handcuffs weren't punishment. They were content. Each mugshot meant another viral video, more clout, more headlines. And honestly, maybe he thought he was untouchable because America never really put the hammer down. The punishments were laughable. A fine here, some bail money there, maybe a few days behind bars followed by community service. Maybe that's exactly why Vitaly kept pushing, because in his head, there were no real consequences. But as the saying goes, no matter how tough the peel, there's always a sharper blade waiting to cut through. And when Vitaly landed in the Philippines, he found out the hard way that this wasn't America. This was a country where the law doesn't blink, doesn't bend, and doesn't play around. He arrived in Manila with that same cocky swagger, the Russian-American showman who thought he could outsmart any system. Cameras out, crew ready, and the same in-your-face style that once made him millions. To him, filming without permission was just a tiny detail, something to laugh off. But that tiny detail was the first domino in what would turn into a nightmare he couldn't wake up from. On the packed streets of Manila, his so-called pranks crossed every line, ripping off face masks from strangers, harassing women on camera, snatching gear from police officers like it was a joke, turning everyday life into a circus of chaos, all for live stream numbers and clout. He thought he was untouchable. But what he didn't realize was that Filipinos were watching too, quietly counting every single crime as he streamed them live for the world to see. What he branded as content was no longer funny to anyone. It was criminal. Locals didn't call them pranks. They called them exactly what they were: sexual harassment, public disorder, and disrespect to an entire nation. And unlike in the US, where he could buy his way out with bail or community service, the Philippines doesn't care about your followers or your fame. Same old story, Vitaly chasing clout by harassing strangers, stirring chaos, and acting like the rules never applied to him. But in the Philippines, that game doesn't fly. Their justice system doesn't laugh off disruptions as harmless pranks. Over there, it's straight up crime, and the penalties can crush you. What might cost a fine in the US or Europe could mean decades behind bars in Manila. The Philippine legal system is a complicated mix. Spanish civil law, American common law, Islamic law, and deep-rooted local traditions. It's a blend that leaves zero room for antics like Vitaly's, and he became the poster boy for that contrast in the ugliest way possible. The same stunts that once earned him millions of views got him slammed with handcuffs and tossed into a cell with no VIP treatment, no get-out-of-jail-free card.
Tripping? No. No. You're tripping.
Tell me exactly what's happening, ma'am.
Somebody's outside beating the out of somebody.
Lock your doors and windows and do not let the person in.
Are there any weapons involved?
No.
No, he's just beating the out of somebody.
Okay.
Female on the ground. He was punching her in the face left and right.
And no camera crew to glamorize it. April 2nd, 2025 became the day his empire collapsed. At a hotel in Pasay City, right in the heart of Manila, police swarmed him and dragged him off on a laundry list of charges that read like a scandalous rap sheet. 3 counts of unjust vexation for harassing security guards, including trying to kiss one, snapping creepy unauthorized photos, and spewing insults. Theft charges for stealing a security patrol motorcycle and even an electric fan from a restaurant. Public disturbance for diving onto a moving jeepney, hassling motorbike drivers, and barging into a McDonald's kitchen like it was part of his show. Attempted theft for trying to snatch a security guard's gun, and violations tied to vlogging illegally without a filming permit in Bonifacio Global City. At first, Vitaly tried to play it cool, strutting in front of police with that trademark cocky grin, tossing out jokes like nothing could touch him. But that tough guy act cracked fast. Leaked photos from inside his detention center have now shocked the internet, showing a man who looks like he's been completely broken down. Gone is the swaggering prank king. In his place stands a shell of who he used to be. The images tell the story loud and clear. Vitaly, drowning in an oversized orange jumpsuit, head hung low, eyes hollow, his once-built frame now gaunt and frail. The baggy uniform makes him look smaller, weaker, like a man who finally understands he can't prank his way out of this. Just months ago, he was flashing tattoos and tank tops, the smirk of a man who thought the world was his playground. Now, every ounce of that energy has been stripped away. And it's not just his body that's wasting. His spirit is collapsing too.
Okay, this is your Miranda right, right?
Sir.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in any court of law.
Sure.
Right?
The grim footage circulating online paints the bleak reality of Philippine prison life. Cramped cells where men sleep shoulder to shoulder on cold floors, rations so small they barely keep you standing, the air thick with desperation. And Vitaly, he's not separated from the danger. He's living it every single day, locked in with hardened, violent criminals who couldn't care less about his YouTube fame. His face says it all, pure despair, no punchlines left. His lawyers are scrambling, firing off bail requests, begging for a way out. But this isn't America, where fines and community service make charges disappear. And it isn't South Korea either, where fellow internet troublemaker Johnny Somali still walks free while waiting for his case. Vitaly's luck has completely run dry. Not only was he denied bail, he was tossed straight into the slammer with no way out. In there, his millions of subscribers and flashy fame mean nothing. All he's got now are endless days filled with shouting inmates, looming violence, and the constant fear of what could happen next. For someone who once lived off attention, cameras, and wild antics, this drop into prison life feels like a punishment far heavier than anything a judge could hand down. The Philippine government isn't budging an inch. After seeing the chaos he broadcasted on their streets, even the president himself weighed in, declaring that foreigners who disrespect Filipinos will not be tolerated. That one statement sealed Vitaly's fate. He's no longer just a case, he's an example. His bail requests, shot down one after the other. His family tried pulling strings in the US, where he made his fortune, but officials brushed them off. Even Russia, his birthplace, refused to save him. Instead, they held a press conference blasting his behavior and warning their own citizens not to repeat his mistakes abroad. Russia went so far as to show support for the Philippines' decision to keep him locked away. Turning their backs on one of their own, legal experts now say Vitaly is staring at 3 possible futures, and none of them are good. The lightest scenario is if he's only convicted of unjust vexation, which still means 18 months to 3 years behind bars.
Filipinos we are friendly people, we are hospitable people. But this guy took advantage of us. And ang malas niya, if other countries merely deported him, Ang malas niya ngayon, his tough luck is that we have Secretary Remulla saying now that we're not gonna let him off easy. So he will not be deported. He will stand trial here. He will face the charges here. And hopefully he will be jailed here.
That's considered the best case, and only if his legal team manages to pull off some behind-the-scenes negotiations. Here's the brutal reality. Trials in the Philippines can drag on for years. 2, sometimes even 3 years before a verdict is handed down. That means Vitaly could rot in detention far longer than the sentence itself, trapped in limbo with no clear end in sight. And that's not even the worst of it. If prosecutors decide to stack heavier charges like attempted theft or public disturbance, he's looking at 5 to 7 years behind bars. Each charge, unjust vexation, theft, harassment, carries 1 to 5 years. Add them together and suddenly you've got a prison term that feels endless. And then comes the nightmare scenario. If authorities want to turn Vitaly into the ultimate cautionary tale, if they decide to throw the book at him, stacking every charge, even the serious ones like trying to snatch a guard's gun, then the sentence could explode into a staggering 24 years. Legal experts say that extreme number is unlikely unless new evidence surfaces. But the threat is hanging over him like a dark cloud, and Vitaly knows it. The truth? There's no miracle coming. The fame, the views, the smirks, all gone. What's left is a man sitting in a cramped cell, staring down endless court delays and the grim possibility of years that could break him completely. It's wild how often we see influencers crash and burn overseas, thinking they can pull the same stunts they did back home. Logan Paul in Japan, Johnny Somali in South Korea, and now Vitaly in the Philippines. Each one dragging the reputation of content creators deeper into the mud on the world stage. And with Vitaly, it's the darkest example yet. His case is still crawling through the courts, but honestly, the public has already made up its mind. Guilty in the court of opinion. The truth is, Vitaly's finished. Once a viral giant who had the internet eating out of his hand, he's now reduced to a prisoner with no audience, no fans, and no spotlight. The prankster of 2014, cocky, loud, and hungry for shock value, doesn't exist anymore. What's left is just a disgraced name, a hollow warning carved out of scandal and failure. So maybe, just maybe, this really is the final curtain call for Vitaly's broken legend. What do you think? Is this the end of the prank king for good? Or do you see him somehow clawing back into the spotlight? Drop your thoughts down below, smash that like button, share this with a friend, and hit subscribe if you want more deep dives into the rise and the downfall of internet legends.